In anticipation for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I would like to revisit the original Legend of Zelda game. The Legend of Zelda is an action-adventure game released by Nintendo in 1986 for the original Nintendo Entertainment System. The copy I have here is my personal copy, and it's a pretty fun game, confusing at times. The Legend its map has a map screen in it, but no map, which makes sense. No, it doesn't. But the original Legend of Zelda was a hit when it released with this beautiful golden cartridge that blinds my camera. Uh, but if you were to buy it, you would get, the usual stuff. I'm missing some of the inserts and stuff like the map insert, but I do have the manual, also shimmering gold. And, well, the Legend of Zelda story goes that Link was wandering through the forest one day when an old lady named Impa ran up and said, "Somebody has kidnapped the princess," and gave you clues on where to go to find the uh, monster Ganon. So, with that, you set out on your first quest to find and take down Ganon. Now, the first part of the game is very simple. You spawn in and you'll see a cave to the left, I believe. And if you enter that cave, you'll get a sword. And you now have a sword and shield to help you go through, even though if it is a wooden sword. But as you make it through the original Legend of Zelda, you'll come across dungeons with varying designs and stuff like that. Uh, the first dungeon you come across will likely be the one in the middle of the lake. You can visit Dungeon 2 without the stuff, the the items that you get in the bridge to the lake uh, dungeon, but I'd recommend you go and do that dungeon first. It's easier to find. I think you just go up and then right and then up again, and then you follow the lake shore up and around till you get to the area with all the Octa rocks, and then you're there. Tired, but so the original Legend of Zelda, it's a great time. Gameplay wise, it's sparse compared to the newer Zelda games. Items don't are kind of like you use them in the dungeon sort of deal, except for the bombs, the boomerang. In Dungeon 7, which you have to use the dungeon item for all of them. Because I think it's the boss rush dungeon. But it's a good enough time if you're willing to put in the hours that it takes to beat the game. I mean, it doesn't take hours if you know where you're going, but if you don't know where you're going and you just want a good game to wander around in and find things, it's a great time. Uh, I'm I will be going over the other Zelda games in this video, but the first one, Zelda, is an inoffensive, fun time. Boring at times. I love the game to pieces. My first experience with it was with the NES Classic, which was an interesting experience with that cord that's this long. But no, pretty good time. Would I recommend you go out and buy a copy? No, because you're either going to get scammed or it's going to be really, really expensive. I would just go with the Switch Online thing. If the 3DS eShop was still open, I would even recommend that over the Switch Online. But for a first outing, pretty good. If you have time to play it, play it. Super fun, challenging, good retro game. Honestly, first Legend of Zelda game, I would give it. Next up, we have The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This is my most complete Zelda game I own. Well, besides uh, the Switch ones, which really don't come with any inserts. So, but this is my most complete Zelda game. It is a heyday. Probably one of the best top-down Zeldas I've played. I never got around to playing the 3DS ones, which I hear are even better. But you know, Link to the Past is probably the one that I have the most time in personally of the top-down 2D Zeldas. Uh, when it comes to stuff for Super Nintendo games, manual is a huge upgrade. Huge upgrade from previous ones. I mean, this makes you want to play the game even more. Full, full page art, uh, explaining the story because you know you really can't put that much story in a SNES cartridge unless you're a Final Fantasy game because that's literally just all reading. We'll get to those eventually, but that's gonna be a while. I still gotta finish 7 and 8, but you know, these Super Nintendo manuals are great. So much personality in like each individual page. The art is amazing. Uh, shows you the different items, the map screen, you know, some of the stuff you can find in this beautiful watercolor art. Uh, yeah, though. I wish they would bring back manuals, to be honest. This is just nice. And also on the back, if you need any help, call our maintenance service. But no, the copy I have, it's missing the like Nintendo Power subscription stuff, but it does have this still in it. Uh, the map of Hyrule, with a guide to a couple of the dungeons on the back. Really cool. I plan on framing this eventually, but yeah. Cartridge wise, a lot less interesting than the newer ones, than the older ones. I would say. Kind of just that basic Nintendo Super Nintendo cartridge. Really nice looking. Honestly, I mean, if you want to play a Zelda game and the original, you know, kind of bothers you with that whole map screen fiasco and it's not exactly your, you know, cup of tea, which I mean, it probably won't be. The original Zelda is a very weird thing, but Link to the Past is a great game. You got all the stuff that made the original good, and then just tenfold even better. Uh, if the original was an 8 out of 10, this would be a 15 out of 10, in my opinion. Uh, Super good. This is like, in my opinion, the peak of 2D Zelda. If you have a chance to play it, if you have any way of playing it, do so. It is great. But box wise, we're looking at a pretty good Super Nintendo box. Nothing too interesting. Most of them are just kind of black squares. But yeah, I mean, a really nice, really good game. Uh, would highly recommend to anybody who likes playing old video games. Uh, Other than that, story wise, a weird wizard dude is trying to resurrect Ganon. He figures out that there's these. He starts kidnapping princesses, putting them into like crystals. Uh, Fun fact: you can beat him if you have a net. That's just a weird way of beating him because it launches his spheres back at him. But no, pretty good overall. It's it's really good. Way longer than the original Zelda, but like you can get through it faster due to the more quality of life upgrades to the game. Uh, at this point, I'm just nerding out about this game, but really good. Also, the different side quests you can do and find, the way different things are hidden, just really good game design all around. They hit it out of the ballpark, like way out of the ballpark with this one, and it just gets even better with the next game. Uh, with the next game, honestly, if you have a chance to try it, would recommend. Honestly, great game right here. Now, the next one we're talking about, this game really did make a lot of fans. I personally think it's a good game, but just doesn't hit that right spot. My personal favorite 3D Zelda, we're getting to it. It will come right after this next coming up one. I never got a chance to play the GameCube games or the remakes on the Wii U. I never owned a Wii U, or one of their things. So I'm going over the ones that I have played. Again, this is an incomplete look, but Ocarina of Time, it's a good game. Really great. Uh, it's the first 3D Zelda game. Everything that it does well, really well. Uh, it's kind of like in my opinion, a 3D version of the original Legend of Zelda, where you see it's a really, really good game. It just falls on the back on those things that made that original Zelda game le- a lot less enjoyable for me personally. I really do enjoy the game. It is honestly a great game. If you have time to play it, I would recommend it tenfold, but don't play the original 64 version. It's good, but they really fixed it and made it that much better on the 3DS version. If you're going to play it, find you a 3DS version. If you don't have a 3DS or don't have the current funds for it, you can play the 64 one on Switch Online. Story wise, probably one of the best Zelda stories we've gotten in a while. Well, not a while. In general, one of the better ones. So the game starts. You wake up as Kid Link, and a fairy wakes you up. Named Navi or Navi. I don't know how to actually pronounce the name. Uh, and you're going around, exploring Hyrule. You end up making it to the castle after a really cool item quest where you need to get an egg, and then you use that egg. You gotta wait a full day, and the egg hatches into a cuckoo. And then you bring it over to the sleeping guy, and it does its whole wake up morning thing like a chicken does, or a rooster. But really good. Honestly, great game. Great game. That first starting thing really just gets you into the gameplay. Then you gotta do like a stealth mission through Hyrule Castle. Then you meet a young Princess Zelda. You start talking. Uh, Dungeon wise, the first three dungeons are great. Uh, the the Zora one has a lot to be desired. Really nasty looking because you're exploring the inside of like a fish. Great idea. Honestly, the next dungeon in Zora's Domain is even even worse. Probably one of the worst water dungeons known to man. But dungeon wise, it's got some good dungeons, some bad ones, some really unique thing that you can do is if you get the spyglass, the magic spyglass where you can see invisible stuff, and you take that into the Redead Cavern boss fight, where it's the two floating hands, and they vanish. If you use that, because it's basically like first person, but in this one instant it actually covers the camera for as long as you have magic, and it reveals the boss. That is probably one of the coolest item uses in these games besides the Link's Awakening bomb arrows. I didn't mention that before. But characters over the moon. Ganon is as in or Ganondorf is as intimidating as ever. That final boss fight where you're fighting him and he turns into the giant pig monster, honestly great. Ooh, but that 64 version did not age as well as you think it would have. If you have a chance, either get the 3DS version or they do have a GameCube version, but the GameCube version is a lot harder to find. So just go with the 3DS version. I mean, you're shelling out about the same amount as you would for Tears of the Kingdom, actually less because it would be about $55. So I mean, yeah, if you have the chance, play it. If you really don't want to shell out the money for the 3DS version, it is on Switch Online. A little less convenient feeling, but more convenient to a person personally. Honestly, pretty good game. Would recommend like the other Zelda games. I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record at this point. We're almost done. We got three more games to get through, and then yeah. But yeah, pretty good. Honestly, give it a try. Okay, with this next one, I know I'm gonna get blasphemy in the comments with that with the Ocarina of Time thing, but now wait till I say this. You see, Ocarina of Time, in my opinion, was lacking in that thing in something. This one is like, unlike the original Zelda sequel, this is honestly, this game right here is honestly so much better than the original Legend of Zelda. I, I know, blasphemy. Blasphemy. How dare you not like Ocarina of Time as much as the any other one. But let me say this. The way this game is set up is perfect. It is honestly one of the best Zelda games out there. Uh, I mean, few games I do own two copies of the game physically. But no, so you know, this game's really good. Story wise, less than Ocarina of Time, but way more in the side characters, the character development, everything. The story's very basic. Moon's coming to crash down. You gotta stop it. But no, just honestly, great game overall. You you get so much that you can do within such a little map. It is like half the size of Ocarina of Time, to be completely honest, but there's so much more to do, to see. Everything is like more streamlined. It's faster, but it's also has a lot more to do in it. It's just an overall great game, side quest wise, so much. And with the 3DS remake especially. Now, sure they screwed up a couple things like Zora swimming, and yeah, that sucked. That is honestly awful. But for the some of the bigger things that they did bad, some of the stuff they did was even greater than what the original could even have on this 3DS version. Uh, Specifically, the the way you catalog side quests now. So in the original, there was the Bomber's Notebook, and it would tell you what things happened. But with this one, you can put on like a timeline of, okay, this is going to happen here, but I also got to get this done and this done. So you can get all of the side quests done that much faster because you don't need to worry about the different things that are going on. Another thing is with the Bomber Kids side quest, where you get the Bomber's Notebook. Uh, that is also a really good one, where it's basically just a giant hide and seek game. Uh, Dungeon wise, really, really good. The only one that I could honestly say was a pain in the butt would be the forest dungeon, and that's just getting to it that first time. Anytime after that, it's way easier. The ice dungeon also is a little finicky, but I had a way easier time than what I was told I would have. Uh, Overall, great game. 3DS version would highly recommend. Honestly, if you have the chance, get this version. For its downfalls, it is it is so good. Another funny thing that they did with this version is in the fishing minigame area, you can put on the Fierce Deity mask. I think that's just funny that like the only other place besides boss arenas that you can wear it is just the fishing minigame. So yeah, but really good game. The time mechanic gives a lot of it's a very unique thing to the Zelda series, which means that they have this smaller area, but also it feels new. But that's Majora's Mask, really great game. Final boss fight, ooh, really really good. Uh, if collect all the masks. You get that mask that I was telling you about that you can wear during boss fights. Other stuff that helps you get stuff done a lot faster. Give it a try if you have the money. It's on Switch Online, but if you have the money to get the 3DS version, would recommend this 3DS version, just like I would recommend the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time. Really good, really fun. I have had I had more fun with this one than I did with Ocarina of Time. I know, blasphemy, but really, really good. With this last one that we're talking about, probably most of the people watching have played it and have enjoyed this game right here, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Great game, great design. This is basically the original Legend of Zelda, but everything it needed to be. This is like one of the best Zelda games out there. I am super excited for its sequel. To be honest, this will probably be my shortest segment due to the fact that this video is already very long. But, oh my goodness. Breath of the Wild, the dungeons left a lot to be desired. Because, I mean, it's basically the same dungeon 4 times. But Hyrule Castle is just one of the best designed, like, versions of like a final area you can visit. But also, you can visit it as soon as you get off the tutorial area. That is probably the best part about the game. You can go fight the final boss as soon as you get off of uh off of the Great Plateau. Great game, great execution, DLC out of the ballpark with content, extras, references to older Zelda games. This game is basically the ultimate Zelda game. It is open world. It is every single thing you would want to be in a Zelda game, but that much better. I'm hoping with Tears of the Kingdom it fixes those shortcomings that were with this game. I mean, game's great, but those few short thing those few things that fall short of just make the game that much more infuriating because it was already so good. If they fixed the stuff that was complained about in this game with Tears of the Kingdom, it will be honestly the greatest Zelda game ever made. Okay, return to traditional dungeons, boss fights of pure, honestly greatness. Story wise, this game is very, very thin in story. Thin and thick at the same time. Very thin in stuff that you can find, but with like filled in a lot more with like all the side stuff. Kind of feels like you're trying to hunt for Kirby lore at that point to just get the full story of the game and like everything that happened to Hyrule and why it looks the way it does. But if you have a chance, if you're given a chance to play this game, if you haven't already, I would do so. Honestly, great game. Overall, one of the best Zelda games out there. That's all I really have to say for this one. Else this video is going to be over an hour long. And yeah. And also, if you're interested, I'll either be streaming later today or later this week. Hey, this is just a little post-production thing, but a couple of the things were cut out of this video. I will probably be making a part 2 here soon with all of those missing segments. I am sorry. We will be missing not Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, and the handheld games. So, sorry about that. And Zelda 2.